Hey everybody, welcome back to another code music chill session. Is my mic on? It is. So as I said in my last video, the last code music chill session, I'm improving my existing skills and I'm going through MDN's web development course. And I've just completed the intro to HTML section, and I'm now completing the assessments. And again, just showing the course that I'm doing, front-end web developer, and it takes you through a lot of stuff, very in-depth. I recommend it. I did a whole 7-minute rant on the last session. I'm not going to do it here. I'm just going to get straight to the point in this video and go ahead and start the next assessment, which is structuring a page of content. I didn't mean to say rant. I meant to say I went on a tangent about why I love this course. Sorry about that. Okay, so with structuring a page of content, it's also a part of MDN's intro to HTML section under the structuring web dev course. So this project basically wants you to apply structural elements to the page to apply to the layout. So they give you a project brief, just like the last one. It gives you an overview and requirements of what you need to complete this project. And mainly all you're doing is structuring the layout. No CSS. You're not writing any CSS. It's already done. But you have to put everything together in the right place in order to get the layout, get the CSS to, get it to work properly. And this is what it's supposed to look like at the end. So it's kind of like putting stuff where it's supposed to go, putting the HTML elements where they're supposed to go. Also, I have these on GitHub too. So everything I'm doing on these videos is on GitHub. It's github.com/Jashele, link in the description. So if you're doing these too, feel free to compare notes. So I've already got it set up in GitHub, the repo set up in GitHub. So the first thing we want to do is grab the assets, the zip file containing all the starting assets. So I'm going to download the zip file. Okay, so here they are. I'm just going to drag them over into VS Code. And here we go. So right off, we see that the index.html, of course, is already coded out. And let's see what it looks like in the browser. So in the browser, of course, we see that there's no styling applied or anything. There's no layout. There's no design applied to it. It's just the content, basically, and the assets. So we wanted to go from looking like what's on the left to what's on the right. Usually, this is what's involved with being a front-end developer. Even email development, it was kind of the same process. Like, we were given something on the right, and then we had to just make it look like that. The only difference was the content wasn't there. It was just that we were given a PDF or PSD to follow, and we had to basically start from scratch. But the only thing is we had a boilerplate to work with, so the boilerplate was already laid out, and we just kind of had to change the colors or widths, padding, things like that. So just a little thing I wanted to share. So what I've done is, as usual, I have pulled the requirements out of these bullet points and put them in my own checklist, because I do enjoy marking things off. My brain works like that, so I prefer to have everything in the checklist. So I'm gonna arrange everything. I'm gonna arrange everything on my screen. So just to get a little bit organized here. And one thing I like to do with VS Code is use split screen view. I'm gonna do this for this project since a lot of the CSS has been given. This will allow me to see what elements I need to apply to the left hand side. So the left side is the HTML and the right side is the CSS, and I'll make it a little bit bigger. And I really like working with split screen, especially if I need to, instead of having to click back and forth, they're just right there. So the first thing that I want to do is apply the provided CSS to the page by adding another link element just below the existing one provided at the start. So I'm going to do that at the CSS because since it's already done for us, that will help us be able to see everything as we go. So as you can see, the coloring and font has changed. Now, one thing that the instructions have is that, let's see, the provided CSS is designed so when the correct structural elements are added to the markup, they will appear green in the rendered page. So I guess they made it into like a little game, so it's a sign of it being correct. So whenever you do it correctly, it'll should be turning green. The whole thing should be green like this. And I think this exercise is helpful. For instance, if there's someone else doing the CSS and maybe you're creating the layout, you'll know how to identify what goes where. It's just a good exercise to help you work with code. Maybe you didn't write, maybe you wrote the left side, but you didn't write this side. So it'll help you, just be able to go through somebody else's code and say, oh, I see what they did there, or wait, I have a question about this. So you may have to do that sometimes. You may have cases where you're working with someone else's code and you need to know how to navigate something else. So I think this is a good exercise for that. Although very simple, simple exercises can really help the brain. I mean, that's what coding exercises are for, and that's why I'm doing this. Just keep the brain sharp in those like small things that we miss sometimes, or just the fundamentals. What the instructions have is that we've already applied the CSS, so you'll need a header spanning the full width of the site, containing the main title for the page, logo, etc. A main content area with 2 columns, a footer, and to get basically all you really have to do is add all the wrappers, and that should take care of itself. So let's see. Let's go ahead and add the wrappers. So the header is I'm just going to start top bottom, and I'll put these side by side so we can see it changing as we go. Okay, so first the header, so I'll start there. So we have bird watching. Oh wait, the instructions have the title and logo appear side by side once styling is applied, and the navigation appears below those 2 items. So you have bird watching and you have the logo. Those are supposed to appear side by side, and then the navigation should appear right below that. So if they're supposed to appear side by side, I assume they're going to be in the same wrapper. So it looks like they are kind of together here. So you have bird watching in an H1. I'll make it bigger. Bird watching in an H1, and then the image below that. So I'll go ahead and add header, and then paste the content in there. Boom. Header's been added. Check that off. Now we need the navigation menu. And according to the CSS, header, nav, sometimes it may be called navigation, that's why I wanted to check that. So it's called nav. So this looks like the nav here in this unordered list. Of course, home, get started. If you want to double check, you can compare it up against each other. Yep, home, get started, photos, gear, forum. I never assume. I always try to compare things just to make sure I'm targeting the right stuff here. So nav, I'll go ahead and paste that in there, and boom, it's in there. We're getting this thing done. All right, the next is the main content. So it looks like, according to the mock-up over here, the main content is going to be this welcome section. Welcome to our fake bird watching website. If this were a real website, blah, blah, blah. So we need to get it to look like that. Right now, it's just really awful. So what do we need to use to apply that? I'm going to check to see. I'll start from the top. All right, none of that probably. These are headers, body, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it looks like probably main, so main layout. Yeah, there's an article selector here too, so let's just add main first and see what happens. And looks like everything from welcome all the way down to the great outdoors. So let's copy that. Oops. Whoa. There we go. Wait, I didn't grab welcome. I'll grab it in a second. Grab that. There we go. Okay. So not quite. So I think article does need to be, we need to wrap article. That main is correct, but then we need one more additional nested element to make it into that nice little box, because it's definitely not supposed to be 3 columns like that. And the reason why it's doing that is because it's using Flexbox, which we're not quite there in my little code music chill. I want to do these building blocks because not only is it helping me improve existing skills, but anyone that's learning, I don't want to go too fast because this could potentially be helping someone that is learning. But don't worry about this right now. If you are learning from my videos, Flex is just a type of way to structure CSS, and that's why it's doing those 4 let's see, 1, 2, 3. It looks like it's 4 columns. Yeah, display flex 4. I think, does flex 4 mean 4 columns? I don't know, because I don't know if I've ever actually used that in CSS, but I know display flex. But it seems like that would be 4 columns, right? But we're not talking about Flexbox right now. But I was just saying that's why it looks like that. So it seems like they want. So we need to nest article. Nest article within main. Wow, I cannot. I'm just like going too far down. Okay. Okay, that looks a lot better. So now we're talking. Also, I just wanted to highlight article. It's actually in MDN's documentation, but article is an HTML element. It encloses a block of related content that makes sense on its own without the rest of the page. For instance, a single blog post. And a section is similar to article, but it is more for grouping together a single part of the page that constitutes one single piece of functionality like a mini map or a set of article headlines and summaries or a theme. It's considered best practice to begin each section with a heading. Also note that you can break articles up into different sections or sections up into different articles depending on context. So one thing I'm not sure about is if these 2 paragraphs are supposed to be sections. So I guess I can just try it. Like put this paragraph into a section. And then this one into a section. I'm not entirely sure. Or if it's even necessary. Because it looks, yeah. Ooh, well, no, it looks like that's a little too much. So I'm just gonna take it out. Because it looks like it's just doing too much. Because it doesn't have that over here on the left. So I'll remove that. Thank you, Command Z. I love you, Command Z. Yeah, so I'm just looking at how that green is. What is that? Oh. Take that out. So I think it's fine to just keep that wrapped in article. Yeah. So the welcome text is good to go. and I guess main content. So the image sidebar is the next thing we need to get in there. Looks like they have an aside selector over here that we can use, and of course this is also in the documentation. So an aside contains content that is not directly related to the main content but can provide additional information indirectly related to it. For instance, glossary entries, author biography, related links, etc. So it's not exactly related to the main content, but there's like photos over there. So I definitely think this is going to be a part of that this main section, which that's what the checklist was talking about. So the main content, so need to add that first. So in the main section we have article, and I'm gonna close that so that I can kind of see a little bit better. That's what I like about VS Code, or just code editors in general, is you can kind of collapse things as you need them to see better. The better to see you, my dear. Okay, this is not, what is that? Is that Little Red Riding Hood? Yeah, Little Red Riding Hood. Okay, so now that we covered that, let's go ahead and add the sidebar. Wait, what am I doing? yeah, I'm doing that right. Side. So from favorite photos to all the images is what's gonna go in that tag. So let's bring that all the way down. Get rid of that space. Put that in there. That's what we got. Yep. So that's what we needed. So we can check that off. The checklist, the image sidebar. And then the last thing we need is the footer. So everything here is the footer. So this fake website down to Dove Icon by Lork. So I just need to create footer tag. I just assumed that it's, yeah, because most times it's going to be called footer with good CSS naming. Okay, yeah, that's good. So we got our header with the title and logo side by side. We have our nav, welcome message, favorite photos, and footer. So yeah, that's a pretty good exercise, and just something to stay sharp on your fundamentals. Just cool. Hey everybody, I am making a quick edit to this video. I'm interrupting my own video. I didn't realize that the navigation actually should go inside of the header. So on the right hand side is how MDN wants it, and then on the left is just that the nav is outside of it. So I'm gonna fix that real quick and then I'm gonna continue this video. As you can see, again, my final results are here on the left. So basically the only thing I need to do, looks like, is move nav up to the header right there. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is head over to VS Code. So nav is right here under header, so I'm gonna cut nav out of those lines and just simply paste it right inside of the header, kind of in a nested format there. Okay, so once again, just gonna check it one more time. We got header, the title and logo side by side, nav inside the header, then we got the main content area with the sidebar on the right with the photos, and then we have the footer at the bottom. So looks good. And by the way, this is the change that'll be on my GitHub account, not what is going to be at the end of this video, so ignore that and just check the link in the description. Okay, back to the video. Okay, so all the checklist items are done. So again, that is the structuring a page of content on MDN, a part of the structuring the web with HTML course. And I've just I've completed intro, so that was the last assessment in the intro. So when I come back, the next thing I'll be doing is, after I go through the multimedia and embedding section, Then I'll go through the assessment for that. So that shouldn't take long. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections, and then 1 assessment for that. What is that? I'm curious. Oh, that looks fun. I'm excited. Woo! I'm excited. This looks fun. I like doing things where it's not like real work sometimes. Like you can just sit here and read and learn, you know. It's relaxing. It's kind of therapeutic. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put this up on GitHub, so feel free to check it out if you would like. I am github.com/Jashele. So feel free to follow me on GitHub. This is like my first time using GitHub in a while because I was using my work's GitHub. So I really, so now I'm just doing it for these little projects. I'm using it for these little projects, and so feel free to check out my code there. Actually, while I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and put it on GitHub Pages, so you'll have a live view of it as well, in case you want to check it out live. And for some reason, every time I do GitHub Pages and go to it, it does site not found, and I have to wait like a few minutes for it to. So I guess it takes a second. I don't know if anybody else has that or goes through that, but I noticed it takes like a couple of minutes for it to actually show. Let's see. Oh, that was fast. All right, so it's up live, so feel free to check that out. Nice. Whee. Also, what are you all working on? I'm just working on improving skills that I already have. Link to final result. Yep, assessment link. So okay, so it is all up on GitHub, so feel free to check out the code in my repo if you would like to compare notes, if this is something you're working on as well. Oops. And that's all for now. So I'll be back with another code music chill whenever I have something else I want to work on here, and let me know what you're working on. Yeah, see you later. Bye.